Now, what I want you to do is I want you to think of your mind as a kind of a mental landscape. And there are two kinds of landscapes in the world. There's one with very little life forms, such as a desert, where there's not much variety of plants or vegetation, and not much variety with animals. And then there's a second kind of ecosystem, which would be like a jungle or a forest area, where there's an intense variety of plants and animals. And what happens in these two different ecological systems is they become self-creating dynamics. The kind of dead environment like a desert ends up becoming more and more uniform, whereas the very ecologically rich environment, more and more diverse forms of life tend to form. And your mind is like that. And you want to be able to develop a mind that is full of all kinds of interesting thoughts and ideas that come from many different sources, kind of creating this rich, self-enriching environment that is your mind. The problem that we have most often, though, with boredom is that we search for external sources to help distract us. We try and go to movies, we play video games, we go out into parties. What this means is we become addicted to these external sources of distracting ourselves and entertaining ourselves. And what I want you to do is to develop internal resources for being able to entertain yourself, for being able to feel excited from within instead of having to reach from things from without. That is what will help you develop this rich mental landscape that will serve you so well in the world and make you a much more creative individual. The first thing you have to do is you have to develop the ability to be alone. Now, I know you don't often think about this, but the ability to be alone is actually extremely important life skill, because what that means is you can be alone and you can actually think about yourself, think about your life, think about what you're doing, what you're feeling, and not be bored or restless or irritated or constantly grabbing for other things. And this will help you develop the idea of thinking for yourself. The second thing for creating that rich internal environment, the single most important thing you can do is to read books. And what I mean is I want you to read a wide variety of books. I want you to read books of history and biographies. And I want you to read books on ancient history, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, the Renaissance, things more recently. You're going to be like a mental traveler. Locked in your apartment or your room, you are mentally going to be traveling to all these different times in the past. And you're going to be mentally traveling to all of these different cultures. So you won't feel so trapped. And this is what people in prison often do. They discover the prison library. And even though they're confined in their little cell, their mind is able to travel all around the world. And they find this as incredibly liberating. So I want you to read as big a variety of books as you can, feeding that landscape. The other thing I want you to read are books on philosophy that will help calm you down. Books written by authors who've dealt with very dangerous, life-threatening situations, like the Stoic philosophers, like the great writer Michel de Montaigne, who actually lived through a dangerous plague in the 16th century and wrote about it. Or modern writers like Viktor Frankl, who wrote that great book Man's Search for Meaning, about his survival in a concentration camp. These books will help you develop incredible skills for how to deal and calm yourself down in moments of great danger and panic.